I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
President Parker,
Here.
Vice President Nee,
Here.
Director Reforma,
Here.
Director Vasquez, here, and Director Frank Chavez is absent.
Administrator of the oath of office of elected or reappointed elected officials. We do not need to do that because Eric is not here.
I need to do it to Christina.
She wasn't here last month.
Yeah, she wasn't here last month. And I gave you a copy.
So stand in front of the podium.
I'm like I did last time. And if you turn in there, I cheated. Like in the very front of it, you can see what I'm seeing. I did that because you're special. Go ahead and raise your right hand. I, Christina Vasquez,
I, Christina Vasquez,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation
and purpose of evasion,
and purpose of evasion,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully discharge
and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Hey, now you're a true elected official.
Okay. Alright.
Agenda changes. No agenda changes this time, thank you. Conflict of interest. Any counselor, authority member, or staff who has a direct conflict of interest on any scheduled agenda item is to be considered and is declared at this time. Anyone with any conflicts of interest? No? Public comment on non-agenda items. At this time, members of the public may comment on any item that is not appearing on the agenda and within the subject matter of the jurisdiction of the Keys Community Services District Board. Individual comments will be limited to a maximum of 5 minutes, or as stated by the presiding officer under the state law, matters presented during the public comment period cannot be discussed and acted upon. Is there any public comments at this time? No? Okay. Moving on to the election of president and vice presidents for 2025.
Yes, good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. Section 61043A of the State of California Government Code for a special district states that board of directors may elect their officers of the board annually. This action may be taken at the beginning of every calendar year.
Anyone? I don't want to make the motion that I remain president. I prefer that somebody else did it, if somebody else wants to take the office.
And I recommend we stick with Jonathan on the president.
So the motion was made for Director Parker to remain as the board chair and for Director Reforma to step in as the vice president. There's a motion. Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Switch places.
It's all warmed up for you.
Thank you.
Change names.
All right.
Yeah.
Claxon, you do down at the transport.
Going down here to the cheap seats.
The consent agenda, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda pertaining to the minutes of December 17th meeting and the warrant registered for January 28th, 2025? Motion to approve it. Got a motion, do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Discussion of possible action items. Item A, discussion of possible action to authorize the general manager to sign an agreement with Tuckfield and Associates to conduct a wastewater rate study.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, I'm going to read my report for the benefit of all and also that we're videotaping this so it can be on KCSD news. The district bills its residents, businesses, industrial customers for wastewater each month. In general, the district's wastewater fund should have sufficient revenues to support the operation and maintenance of their wastewater system, support maintenance of their facilities, and provide a reserve fund with sufficient emergency monies to avoid placing a financial burden on the district's general fund. Previously, the district contracted with Tuckfield and Associates in 2012 and then again in 2021. They conducted their most recent water and wastewater rate study. These studies analyze future operational costs as well as our capital improvement programs and project the rate that would be needed to support those activities. The projections look forward 10 years, however, rates may only be adopted for a 5-year period. In October of 2024, the city of Turlock increased the wastewater rates for significant industrial users immensely. This huge increase doubled our monthly sewer rates to the point that it busted our annual sewer operations and maintenance budget. The district has no choice but to pass on these rate increases to residents, businesses, schools, and an industrial user. Proposition 218 provides the method whereby wastewater rates may be changed. The district must begin the process by conducting a rate study. This study looks at operational costs, capital improvement projects, and future growth for the next 10 years. It attempts to predict what costs our wastewater operation fund will incur. The study then calculates the necessary rates to support those costs. I contacted Mr. Clayton Tuckfield and asked him for a proposal to conduct a rate study that will determine the appropriate wastewater rates that are equitable and defensible, meet the requirements of Proposition 218, and fund annual operating expense, capital spending, and debt service. Now, the fiscal impact for a cost not to exceed the estimate of $19,600. According to the project schedule, a district board presentation will be held 99 calendar days after issuing the notice to proceed. The public hearing will be held 56 days after that board presentation. So in your agenda packet, you have your wastewater rate study that was prepared by Clayton Tuckfield. And the recommendation is that the board of directors approve and accept that cost proposal from Tuckfield and Associates not to exceed the estimate of $19,600. And I see Mr. Clayton Tuckfield is on the team, so in case you have any questions for him, he's readily available.
So just to make sure that the board understands, what you're reviewing in this document is not our actual physical study, it's just their application that they're presenting to us after asking them if they would do a study for us at the cost not to exceed the $19,000.
We're gonna need it.
We are gonna need it. So, is there any questions? Is it Clayton himself?
Yes.
For Clayton at this time? Okay, so
No, I'm sorry.
if there are no questions, do I have a motion to allow the general manager, how should I say this? To sign the agreement with, Tuckfield and Associates to conduct a wastewater rate study at the cost not to exceed $19,600.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.
Yes, I will, contact him about that notice to proceed tomorrow, so we can get started on this
Okay.
right away.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item B is a discussion of possible action item to sign an agreement with the accounting financial services with California Special Districts and Association.
Yes, this, attached to this memorandum, if you could, you had a proposed agreement for accounting and financial services from the California Special Districts Association. And the Chief Financial and Operations Officer, Rick Wood, has prepared an agreement to engage the professional services of CSDA to perform accounting and financial services for the district. Districts has been having problems with accounting firms from completing mandated annual audits for quite a few years. Rick Wood is very familiar with the issues that we're having. Rick not only assures us of resolving the annual audit issues, but will provide training for our administrative department. The agreement is for 3 years and can be canceled without cause by either party within a 30-day notice. Payment for services, $125 an hour, not including travel and other expenses, subject to the terms of the agreement. Staff recommendation is to enter into agreement with CSDA for accounting and financial services. Now, a couple of things. Rick Wood is the one who came and made us this presentation so we could get into California class. So he's very familiar with us. And also, I would like to have Michelle Harris address this and talk to you a little bit about what she's been going through and the help she's already been getting from somebody from CSDA.
Okay, so this is, something I was talking to Rick probably about 6 months ago about the trouble that I've been having with the audits and getting things to tie out, and it's just very frustrating to me. I took 3 classes last semester in order to learn what I need to learn to get to where I need to be in the audit. It's not gonna happen overnight or a semester or a year. So this is something Rick spoke to me about and said, we have an agreement that you can enter into with CSDA, and he said, I will not do the work for you, I will train you, I will educate you. And when I'm done, you will be able to do this by yourself. So they do walk side by side with you, but they teach you at the same time. So it's not somebody coming in and just taking all your papers and saying, okay, now it's done here. Because then you leave and you don't know anything more than what you started, and that's not a good feeling. Rick and Pam Duffield is helping. She's from Cambria, and she's contracted through CSDA, if I'm saying that correctly. And in a week that I worked with her, she's helped me a lot. So, Rick, can you hear me?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Is there anything that you would like to tell the board about the offer that you guys have through CSDA?
Well, thank you, Michelle, for the introduction. That is exactly what this program is about. CSDA doesn't really market it, but we do have a little program where I'm sorry, Michelle, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So the intention of the program is to teach and help and to make it short term. We are not looking for some kind of long-term accounting agreement. We are trying to put into place something where we come in, assess what's going on, sit with the staff, teach them what they need to know, because government accounting is not something that's taught in schools most of the time. But have an end game in place that we come in, help fix, make sure that things are being done per the California government code, per GASB, per generally accepted accounting principles, and then leave the district with the ability to be able to do this kind of work on their own. I've been doing this now for about 8 years with 20 or 30 districts that I've started with and ended with, and our board of directors see a huge opportunity for a lot of special districts to be able to take advantage of this on a short-term basis. So they've really asked us to grow it, and I was extremely lucky to be able to meet Pam Duffield, who has retired from a community services district. She knows the pains of the environment that financial managers in small and medium-sized special districts have to deal with. And the beauty with her is that she knows your accounting system really well. And so she's really going to be able to teach Michelle how to get through and wade through the process, get the audits caught up, get the accounting going straight, and wave goodbye to us at some point. But even at that, even though that's the goal, we will always be there to be able to answer questions. And I've always tried to do that with Ernie and Michelle anyway. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but really the intent is to help.
Thank you, Rick.
I've got a question. But I know you're not the Rick Wood I'm thinking about, a fellow that grew up in Modesto, so I'm sorry about it. I thought he was a kid that grew up in Rick Woods.
So right now, we are working on our 22-23 audit. We should be getting ready to work on our 24-25 audit. And it's getting farther behind, and I feel like I just keep going down, 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 and I can't get up. And so the more far behind you get, it's the harder it is to move forward. And this is just an excellent opportunity, and I just ask that you guys allow us to enter into this agreement, because it's huge.
Training's a good thing in my opinion.
Very good.
Is there any other questions or comments from the board? Alright, so moving forward, we would need a motion from the board, directing Ernie to sign the agreement for the accounting financial services with California Special Districts Association. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, thank you very much, Rick.
Congratulations, Michelle. I can't stop. I can't wait to get this going. And I know Pam's already started and super excited about it. So,
Thank you very much. I am too.
okay. Talk to you soon.
You too.
Moving on to items from the general manager.
The administrative staff report. She does a lot.
Okay, so I'm gonna walk you guys through this so that way it makes a little bit of sense. So on the front page, I have it broken down by water cash balance, water California class, and then on the very far right-hand side, there's an amount. That's the amount that's left in our general fund. So and I'm just gonna go slow so that way if anybody has questions, you guys can ask me. For our water cash balance, right now we have $11,116,652.62. Of that money, in California class, we have $10,093,512.31, which leaves us a balance in our general fund of $1,023,140.31. In our sewer cash balance, and this is kind of confusing, but we have $1.5 million. In the California class, we have 1.6. So what that's telling us is we're negative in our sewer, $64,000. So we have money in California class, but not in our general fund for our street light cash balance is $295,000. In California class, we have $162,000. So the general fund is $133,000. In the county, we have a sewer contingency and a water contingency. The sewer contingency has $155,000. The water contingency has $100,000. And then we have our water capital connection. That's $958,000. And then we have our sewer capital connection, which is $684,000. So in total, we have $14 million. But the total in California class is the 11 million. The other 2.9 million is made up from those other accounts. So what I did was, if you turn to the next page, I broke it down by just water, and then I did all of 2024. So I went from January through December. I have our water cash balance as a total, and then I put the water California class investment balance, and then it left what was remaining in our general fund. So the water account looks good. It's got a positive, there's no negative. At this time, we have we've made 3 payments. We just made 2 payments tonight that you guys approved to W.M. Lyles. So in total, we have made a payment for about $3 million to W.M. Lyles for the 123 TCP project. With that being said, I just moved $2 million from our California class account to our general fund. Otherwise, this would have been negative. And until we start getting money coming in from the state, from the claims that I'm submitting on a regular basis, we might have to do that a couple more times. So, but our water fund looks good. Okay, so then if you go to the sewer. So our sewer fund has always looked okay, but when you break it down, I did the same thing up here. I put the sewer cash balance, and then what we have in our California class, and then in the general fund. So you can see where there were times where we were in the positive, and then there were times where we were in the negative. Right now, we're negative $64,000. I did put the city of Turlock bills for 2023 and 2024 over to the side. We haven't gotten a new bill for January that would reflect those new charges that we're gonna get. That would be on next month's billing when you guys get those warrants. You're able to see those. And then down below, I have the revenue that we've brought in and then the expenses that have gone out. So even though it doesn't show like a big amount, they add up over a period of time. And this has been happening over the last year, and if I would have went back to 23, it would have showed that's where it started. So right now we're looking at it's going to decrease about 15 to 20,000 every month if we don't start doing something. And then I did the same thing for the street lights. I know our street light looks real good right now, and I know people are really wanting to have more street lights put in. That's a big concern in the community. But this is where we are at with our street light fund and our monies right now. Now then I attach the balance sheet. So this can be kind of confusing, but the way that it prints out is it's an all funds balance sheet. So the very beginning is water, sewer, street lighting, water capital, and sewer capital. And then as you turn farther into it, you will see Fund 10, and then it breaks it down by the funds. 10 is water, 20 is sewer, 30 is streetlights, 50 is water capital, and 60 is sewer capital. So you can actually see every single line item. You can see our liabilities. Everything's pretty straightforward. What I did was I highlighted all of the cash accounts. I tried to make it simple for you guys to read, and if not, I'm sorry. If you have any questions, you can ask me. And then I highlighted the California class accounts, and then the county accounts, as well as the Umpqua. So, and then I did include behind this the copy of those invoices for the city of Turlock if you guys wanted to look at them. So,
Is this a common thing for the sewer to be struggling as much as it is?
no.
No, it hasn't. The only times that we did see a spike on there was whenever we exceeded our limits and we got bills for 71,000, 78,000. But beyond that, no, we were fine until Turlock decided that the industrial users were.
September we got hit pretty hard.
Yeah, there's some months that we get pretty hard. Other than that, it would be around 32, 35, 36.
Now, our liability insurance for the SDRMA, and it doesn't matter if you go with SDRMA or any other liability provider, that is going to go up. When we added the ATF, it went up $70,000 a year. When we add this 123 TCP filtration system, it's gonna go up. I wouldn't imagine that much, maybe half, but still, it's gonna go up because it has to cover all the tanks. It has to cover all the undergrounds. I mean, it has to cover everything in case there's an emergency.
So we can pretty much attribute this to the city of Turlock's raise, that's what's going on here with the sewer. That's solely it.
Yes.
And when we get hit for, now it's gonna be that, but we're still gonna most likely get hit with sending them over, like loads that are too big, and we'll get fined again.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So regardless, we're still getting fined, like in that month of September when it goes up to like 67,000, and I'll double that, right? Because I don't think we're gonna double the whole 67,000, but we're doubling our usage.
Yeah.
So then I would be curious to know, okay, if we're gonna double our usage, what are our fines actually gonna look like? We haven't asked that question yet.
It's also interesting because if we're considered an industrial user, our loads should have more of a span of, like the BODs, we should be able to put more BODs than a residential.
Yeah, it should be at a lower range for residential sewer, but the loadings come from your industrial users, and
We are all industrial users now.
we're considered because we're all together in
Right.
this life, and whatever dominates is what you go under. So.
The only other thing that I was thinking was, we're negative, but we still have money in our general fund, so it's not like we're negative there.
Right.
So we do
But-
still have our money in
So
California class.
I agree, but we are negative.
Yes.
Regardless, we are operating under a budget,
Yes.
right? So let's not neglect that. I know we have money in a fund
Yeah.
set aside for certain things, but at a certain specific time of the year, we say we will operate within this budget. When we start to fall out of that budget,
Yeah.
then we are wrong.
That's
So
right.
then we need to be very honest and say, okay, look, what are we doing? Like for the next 6 months, we're gonna be falling way out of our budget,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So, thank you, Mr. President. Going on that basis, since the sewer fund is going to be unsettled until we can resolve the rate study and the 218 vote, would the district look at considering pulling either some or most of that California class money out and keeping it in the general fund locally. I know that's supposed to be a nice savings fund and it makes a nice return for the district. But on the other hand, you have to balance your budget. And so you have to do short-term what you have to do until we can pass the 218. Is that something you're gonna need to consider?
It is.
Well, one thought on that, and the good thing with California class is your cash is readily available. So I would like to keep it there because the interest rates are much higher than if we keep it under late locally.
I agree.
And it's, we just pulled 2 million out yesterday, right?
Yeah, last
So,
night.
boom, it's ready available, so I'd
Out of the
rather.
water fund, right?
Yeah,
Not our school.
no, that was a water
That's the
fund.
water fund. Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You guys have any other questions? I know it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Um, So that was, do you have anything further on your administrative staff report, Michelle?
Yeah, I do, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So I did list the 3 classes that are offered through CSDA, or SDRMA, no, CSD, I'm sorry, now my acronyms are being confused. And those are for the board classes that teach you guys the governance of the board, setting direction, community leadership, your role in human resources, also your role in finance and fiscal accountability. And then this year, we need to do our ethics and our sexual harassment training again.
Okay.
CSDA should be getting a hold of you guys by email. I gave everybody's email that I have, and then you can log on to the CSDA webpage, and they have so many classes, and a lot of them are free, and a lot of them they're really beneficial. So just go on there and look at stuff. It's really a good webpage.
They're online classes?
A lot of them are online, yes. And that's all I have.
Okay. Mike is sick, and I went around with Kevin today and visited both of the construction sites, but I'm gonna ask Kevin to give an update on what they've done so far on both sites.
To date, they've, on the main GSA site, they got the pad poured for the tanks. They're setting the foundation for the recycle tank. They're waiting on parts for the foundation for the electrical room. They can't get a floor drain. They're waiting on 2 floor drains of supposed to be here in a couple weeks.
Really?
Yeah, they've been waiting on them for about a month.
That's a lot.
Yeah, at well 9, the same thing. They're waiting for a floor drain for that foundation. They got all the underground done, or I'd say 80% or so of the underground done there. They're getting their process of getting the foundation for the tanks set up there to get it
So
poured.
is the fact that they're waiting on a floor drain impacting us because they're stalling the project?
No, they're
They're doing that.
yeah, they're like I say, other than the piping up Jenny, they should be starting that pretty soon. They're at least 80% done with all their underground.
Okay.
Now it's just going to be waiting for tanks and stuff like that, the above ground, and having the bricklayers and stuff. That should be pretty fast, but they got to wait their turn to get in. So it's going pretty fast. I'm happy with the progress. Happy with the work they're doing.
Yeah, tomorrow afternoon, we're gonna have a meeting with our engineers and go over the change orders that we proposed. The only other thing I had was Mike and I went and met with Bob Gallagher. And we discussed with him the issue that we were having with the loadings, and we made it pretty clear to him that the loadings had to be coming from him. We discussed that wash rack that flows into our discharge point. And Bob pretty much understood what was going on. He said that previously he had a guy, I don't know if the guy's last name was Fox or Fox was the company's name, but he said that they had gone and taken some samples there, but he hadn't done it for, I think, 6 months. I was going to have him get in touch with Mike so they could talk and discuss what samples that they had taken. And I explained to him, I told him, I think pretty much what you're doing is you're washing all your grain trucks there. You're creating a slurry of a heavy BOD that's going down our drain. And the reason I believe that is because when I was in Newman, we used to have the same problems with the dairies that would discharge the sewer into our sewer until we made them monitor it. But then what happened is that 5J's trucking would deliver the milk, and then they found some other wash rack that had access to our sewer system, and they'd go and wash their trucks out there and they would load us up. Same way with in Patterson, when frozen foods would run all their vegetables, there was no problem. But when pea season came along, it was all pea soup going down there. It would upset all their ponds, turn them red, stinky, the whole bit. So I told them, I said, I believe this is where the problem is. Now, Mike had gone and taken some splash samples of whatever he could from there. But since it's a 5-day BOD test, you had to wait for the results. And we didn't have the results when we went to talk to him. Well, today Kevin walked into my office and says, hey, I got the results back and here's what our results are. And pretty much from residential, it's I think at 449. And the ones coming from Gilbert were over 4,000, about 4,500. And if they calculate that into pounds, we're going to get an astronomical bill that we've never seen before, if those are the same loadings that Turlock is going to send. We don't know. But I'm very concerned over that. And I did tell him, I said, look, Bob, over on our side, we've done a lot of testing. In the residential range, pretty much recognized by the city of Turlock, is between 200 and 300 milligrams per liter. Dan Madden said it was 240 milligrams per liter. And so anything above that, we're going to be looking to send the charges over to you. And he goes, oh, well, we got to get to the bottom of this and we'll look into this. And even if we have to put in a sampling access point, we'll do it. And so I just wanted to let you know that it's not looking good.
No, it's looking pretty good.
Well, for the, I'm saying,
No, it's looking good. Dennis. Mr. Hale.
there he is.
Good afternoon, sir. Good evening. So in our ad hoc committee, we had talked about looking at some type of contract or something that we can write up and present to our other industrial users saying that you have a range to work within. And if they go out of that range, we can tag them with the cost. Can we move on that?
I don't see why we couldn't. Clearly, if Gilbert's discharges are impacting the district, and again, without having seen any kind of document on their permitting, I don't believe there, from what I've been told so far, there's no specific permitting for their sewer discharge. I think that, yeah, we can get enough reports and sampling to show that that's where the bulk of the the problem's coming from is from Gilbert's discharges, then yeah, I think we can move on that.
Okay.
I want to say just one thing. I'm not completely sold that the produce place isn't putting something in there too that's pretty heavy. I mean, I know.
They're not hooked to our sewer.
They're not?
No, we don't have sewer on that side of Keys
On
Road.
that side,
Okay.
Our sewer stops at Nunes Road.
Well, take that back.
Yeah, but still, you would think, I don't disagree,
I thought they were hooked in for some reason.
no.
No, that's the project that Dave Romano is now trying to do to extend their sewer all the way to Barnhart. And putting in, they'll need to put in a lift station on the other side so they can pump it up.
So that was a 5-day sample?
We don't have to think about that anymore.
Yeah, it takes 5 days to process it, but we've been periodically getting samples and taking them to the lab.
What's the cost or the impact to the district for sampling?
I don't know what the cost of those are. I don't think they're,
It's like $35.
yeah,
a piece.
they're not
Very
much.
minimal.
$35 for the cost, how much does it cost to have an employee do the sample?
You know, maybe 30 minutes worth of work.
30 minutes worth of
Yeah.
work?
It's got an automatic sampler. We just set it up and it pulls at sporadic times. So you get a reflective sample. Then we go over and empty the jug and run it to the lab.
Okay.
So it's
And it takes 5 days to get that data back from the lab?
Yep.
5 working days.
5 working days?
You have a question?
Is that gas all plant on the sewer line?
No. No, but a lot of it's coming from them because Gilbert's hauls their waste. So, but that's on Gilbert. It ain't on them. They're the one contracted and they're the one cleaning their trucks.
So why not take a sample a day? $35, $60 a day?
We've been trying to. We've had a little bit of hiccup with our sampler,
Okay.
and then holidays and people being out sick.
Right.
So, but that is our plan to try to get at least 4, because they're not open on Friday.
Okay.
So we're trying to get one. Mike even came in last week on Sunday and set it up so we'd have one first thing Monday, and so we're trying to get at least 4 a week.
Okay.
So we do have more data, but it's going to take a little time to get all the results back and get it going.
That goes back to my theory of I need a map of the system. I've been saying it a couple times now. I need to look at the maps. One of these days I need to come in here and look at the maps, or I'd like to put them on the wall in here.
Oh, I know what you were, yeah.
Because, yeah, that would help me personally. I'm
Yeah.
sure it'll help
Well,
everybody.
you have it on the gist, right, that you can.
And I just closed it off of there because at the MAC meeting, Mike showed that and it had.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, we showed it
Yeah.
all, showed everybody how the system works.
Mhm.
But I haven't seen it on Key City News.
Oh,
I keep looking for it. Roy, have you seen it on Key City?
I've seen it on Facebook, I think.
Huh?
I think I've seen it on Facebook.
Did you? Because I've been looking at Key City News. In general, you see a lot of repetitious things. Oh, that guy again, but the Key City News, I haven't seen it.
Well, maybe on next week or something, I'll come in here and,
We have a smaller, like a flip book block map, we call it.
Yeah.
You can take one home and study it or whatever.
yeah, that'd be good. I appreciate that. I don't embarrass myself again.
Oh, you're good. You're good. So, I really want to figure out a way, right? Because it can't be like a new invention. There has to be a process in which districts or other entities bill industrial users. And I would love to see a model or something like that that says, okay, this is our range, this is where you're at. We're doing it with Turlock right now, we're getting fined. Let's look at how Turlock's finding us for our oversending them.
That's what we've been working on that turnout permit. These
Yeah.
guys are
We can-
preparing one, and we told Bob that we were gonna be permitting him and that it was gonna be an annual renewal and he was gonna be getting all that, so they're aware.
Basically, we're cutting and pasting Turlock's permit to us, and putting our name on it, and we're gonna permit them. And then, once they sign that, then they're held to the same standard we're held at Turlock.
Maybe
Right.
Gilbert?
Yes.
So they will be, they will get like a annual permit like what we get from Turlock. But we don't have one in place now. We're trying to get that in place.
Right.
And then it'll be easier to do what you're saying to, just pass it along.
I don't expect this to take place until after our 218.
Yeah.
Right? So don't think that like next month we're gonna start firing off fines at them. No, it's gonna all fall in progression with once we apply our 218, we change our rates, right? All these things happen. That'll be a part of that process. That'll be a part of, okay, now in the 99 plus 56 days, we're rolling this out. And this is what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
That's whenever that would take effect. In my opinion, I could be wrong. Dennis, if I'm wrong, please correct me, but I think that would be the perfect time. The district is gonna eat a lot.
I agree with you. I agree.
Yeah.
And hopefully somebody's tracking the expenses that are currently being, shouldered by the districts.
Yeah.
With regard to, especially the Gilbert, impact. 'Cause again, we want as much information, as much basis where we can go back to them and say, well, here's the reason why these rates are being increased.
Correct.
Not only is it the city of Turlock, but our own studies show that, X, Y, Z, and you're costing the district this extra money, and we're having to do all this extra study, this extra sampling, because of what we know is going on over there. It's never been monitored before, not by Gilbert, not by the district, and so we're trying not to pass on the extra expense being created by your operation. So again, hopefully somebody's tracking all those expenses that are currently being shouldered by the district to answer the Gilbert impact, especially in conjunction with the city of Turlock rate increases.
Now, one question too. Is that something that can be done by Tuckfield, since they're gonna be going through everything with a fine tooth comb? Pull those numbers out when they get to them? Or you had a
I honestly can't say to do something like that.
He just does the rate studies, and he goes by the information that we provide him.
Yeah.
So, because he's from Huntington Beach, so he's not readily here to do all that. He just goes by that.
Ever been there? It's beautiful.
And because he has some of the numbers that we have used for the last 3 years, I think that that's the reason why his rates were down to 19, because he's got most of the information he's gonna need to make his projections, as opposed to him coming over here and starting all over anew. Otherwise,
Well, I
he
would
was,
think, Ernie, that he would still have to consider the more current information.
oh, yes,
The current expenses that are, again, being shouldered by the district
oh, yeah.
to deal with the Turlock impact, and especially that coming from A.L. Gilbert.
Yes, no,
Otherwise, how do you do a proper forecast under 218?
no, but he still thinks historical trends into,
Because that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to forecast out the future, and you need the most current information, which would include what's going on right now.
yes,
So historic information is great,
yeah.
but if it's too old, it's not going to reflect what's going on in the current market and the current activity in the district. And I think that could be bad for the district.
He just looked at those numbers in 2021, so they're not that old.
But that's all I was thinking, is they're gonna have every time we got a fine or an increase in what we're paying, if they could just pull those out, pull those out while they're doing the packet for us, we can kill two birds with one stone. That was my
Yeah,
opinion.
we can't recoup that money, but we can use it to project what will be coming in the future, yeah.
And we can use it to defend our case of
Yeah.
what we're gonna, possibly do with A.L. Gilbert.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I was thinking, maybe it would free up you guys in the office if they could just do that while they were doing doing the study.
Now, he's the only one guy who is working, and if he had a staff, but he personally does it, and that's mostly what he focuses on, is just the rate study. But again, I can ask him, you know, if he's willing to do any of the other things, but that's all he, from what I've known him since 2013 when I met him, and I met with him and Albert Pichet and talked a lot about what they do and what they're involved in, and so I've never heard him do any other than Albert Pichet does the financial and he does engineering studies.
Anything left under your maintenance and staff report?
Well, no, I don't have anything.
Okay. Anything under staff comments?
I don't know how this plays in. I was just wondering if in the state of California, is there another small community like ours that has probably our same problem with, especially the sewer, what we're concerned about right now? And if so, if we can find out who they are, where they're at, and what they're doing about their problem, maybe we could learn something on it.
So right now, there is a town, and it's Denair. Denair is suffering the same impact from the city of Turlock that we are.
Yeah.
They've already rolled out their Proposition 218. They were ahead of the curve more than we are. So they're doing or did exactly what we're happy to do and are doing. So they've already moved forward, done their rate studies, done everything they had to do, done their Prop 218, and are putting that cost onto their community, where we're about 6 months behind. 99 plus 56 days, we're behind.
Do you know what kind of results they got?
They're gonna probably most likely do the exact same results that we do, double their sewer rates to cover their costs.
Double?
Yeah.
There's only one road to go down. We can only go to Turlock with our sewer. They've done everything by the book, and that's the only thing we can do is do a 218 and do the same thing.
And the deal is they're going on volume and not residential and commercial.
Correct.
We can't split that up.
That's what we're trying, and that's all the stuff that we're discussing right now. We're trying to figure out the way to split that up, to keep the cost of the residential as it should be, and have our industrial users cover their costs as they should. That's what we're talking about, and that's what we have the days with coming up to our 218 to establish it, to be as fair to our community as we can, both our residential and our industrial users.
Okay.
So, do we move on with any, Michelle, action items? I didn't direct anybody to do anything other than listening to Dennis of looking into other contracts of industrial users in small communities. I don't know how we find that, but if we can see something's gotta be public record. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think I'll probably be working with Mario Gavea on that,
Okay.
since he does have connections with other districts. And he's kind of the laboring oar for the ad hoc committee anyway.
Right.
On this whole subject. I'll work with him, and I've already been talking with some of my folks at a couple other districts to see what information they can pass on to us so that we can use that, study it, and hopefully come up with an all-inclusive plan on attack through the ad hoc committee, and then ultimately we'll present the full package to the board and have them consider steps forward from there.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Moving
No
forward,
problem.
I would like to take the warrant registry out of our consent agenda and put it as a actionable item to approve under discussion. And Michelle, I would like to have not your full staff report, but your report on our monies and our balances at the beginning of the meeting and not at the end.
Okay.
Moving forward, if we could. That way that's visible. I don't want to make it sound dramatic, but I would like for the community to hear it and see it and know it and be aware of it at the beginning of our meeting, just in case somebody decides to leave when they start to come to our meetings. So that it's all out there before they get bored and do something else. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
So would that be like a presentation?
Yeah, just like you did it right here, like, do we have this much of this, we have this much of this, but our warrant registries, I'd like to talk about a little bit more. Like, okay, hey, we spent money here, we spent, and I sucks to say it, but we spent $62 at Staples, right? I wanna know now, right?
Okay.
To the fact that we're showing negative in our budget, it means that as a board, we have a responsibility now to be more aware of our budget, and the blank faces that we got when discussing our budget isn't fair to the community. We, as the four of us, need to be very aware of our monies right now.
Okay.
Do you guys understand what I'm saying? You guys understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
And it's, I'm saying we as me, myself included, so. All right, do I have any other director comments? No? Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, everybody.